In 1994, the United Kingdom witnessed an exciting revolution in its theme park industry during the Year of the Roller Coaster. This landmark year saw 3 iconic parks unveil groundbreaking attractions, with the creation of Nemesis, Shockwave and the Big One captivating the nation and thrilling riders to this day. In the early 1990s, UK theme parks were still in their infancy. In America, the opening of Disneyland kick-started a brand new industry during the 1960s. However, it wasn't until the late 1970s that this new sensation had crossed the Atlantic to British shores. Seaside amusement parks had existed since the turn of the century, but their inland counterparts were a relatively recent development. These new theme parks had usually grown organically from zoos, parks or stately homes, starting with a collection of fairground rides and expanding over time, often introducing a roller coaster as part of this. These coasters were mostly off-the-shelf or travelling models, with some such as Alton Towers Black Hole or Thorpe Park's Space Station Zero receiving a light theme. Eager to keep pace, traditional seaside parks added new steel rides to complement the traditional wooden coasters. Parks like Chessington and the American Adventure were emerging, utilising existing infrastructure, but planned from the start as a true theme park. This fresh competition saw parks rush to install new attractions to appeal to new guests. Over in America, a similar boom was occurring. Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point had just broken the 200-foot barrier, with parks across the country rushing to install bigger, better and more extreme rides. While these beasts were reaching skywards in the States, custom steel roller coasters were still relatively rare in England. Blackpool Pleasure Beach had recently opened Avalanche, and in 1990, Chessington World of Adventures would open Vampire. By 1992, 3 UK theme parks were separately planning their next big attractions. Seeing what had gone before, each wanted to install an attraction that would set them apart from the competition, capturing the interest of the British public and enticing them to visit. Drayton Manor started its life as a small inland pleasure park in 1950, under the ownership of George and Vera Bryan. It had expanded over the years, gradually replacing the hand-operated attractions with larger models, and through the 1980s, adding a number of travelling and family roller coasters. The theme park had recently installed the Pirate Adventure Dark Ride in 1990, and through this time had remained in family ownership. For a park of its size, grand plans were put in place for the next 2 seasons. A duo of new attractions would be constructed on a shared plot. The park had restrictions placed on them due to planning regulations, and co-locating 2 rides in one area would solve these. 1993 would see a new River Rapids ride open. Following this, a new roller coaster would premiere for the 1994 season. The new coaster needed to be something that would stand out. Drayton Manor is located relatively close to Alton Towers, which at the time had recently been purchased by the Tussauds Group, who had plans for rapid expansion. Colin Bryan, managing director at the time, joked that the need for a new ride was recognised as early as 1992, following the success of the Corkscrew. This competition pushed Drayton Manor to think big. The attraction had to be unique, meaning a custom-designed roller coaster was needed. 2 types were considered, a standard sit-down coaster and a stand-up model. Being unique in the UK, as well as a recent development, a stand-up ride was chosen. An order for both the River Rapids and roller coaster were placed with manufacturers Intamin at the IAAPA Trade Expo. 30 miles away, another theme park was busy planning its next big attraction. Alton Towers had its sights on expansion. New owners Tussauds were seizing the opportunity, following recent success at Chessington World of Adventures. 1990 had seen the Thunder Looper installed at the theme park. This shuttle loop coaster was located in a brand new area of the park, Thunder Valley, accessed by the recently added Skyride cable cars. 2 new lands would be constructed for the 1992 season. Gloomy Wood and Katanga Canyon would connect to Thunder Valley and showcase the park's new direction. Designer John Wardley was instrumental in the creation of the new areas, that relied heavily on his passion for theming and immersive attractions. The success of these 1992 additions led to Alton Towers' desire to install another new attraction 2 years later. This would be a large-scale custom-designed roller coaster, one that needed to be unique and thrilling, capable of putting the theme park on the world map. A site close to Thunder Looper was identified as a location for the new attraction, but what type of roller coaster would be constructed? Alton Towers is constrained by restrictive planning regulations, meaning that no attraction is able to be built above the tree line. It was decided that if they couldn't build up, the park would dig down, creating a large pit in which the new ride could be located. Still not decided on attraction type, a prototype Arrow pipeline coaster was considered. This was ultimately discounted by Wardley due to its slow and boring ride experience. The park became aware of a new roller coaster being built by company Bollinger & Mabillard at Six Flags Great America. Details of the ride were privately disclosed, and Tussauds directors were able to ride before its opening. The roller coaster would be revealed as Batman the Ride, and featured a never-before-seen configuration. Inverted roller coaster trains that left riders' feet hanging while capable of completing loops. After multiple test rides, it was decided that this was the ride Alton Towers had to install. Around the same time, a third British park had its sights set on making an impact with a new roller coaster. Blackpool Pleasure Beach had a long history in the UK amusement industry, dating back to 1896. Pleasure Beach was a seaside park, known for its collection of classic wooden roller coasters and traditional rides. More recently, a number of newer steel roller coasters had been installed. Forging a relationship with Arrow, Steeplechase and Revolution had been constructed. Both unique rides, with the latter being the first looping coaster in Europe. A few years earlier, Aerodynamics and Cedar Point had premiered Magnum XL 200. This new concept in steel rides featured known versions and focused on height and speed to provide the thrills. It is thought that Blackpool's managing director, Geoffrey Thompson, visited Cedar Point soon after Magnum's opening in 1989 and immediately wanted one of his own. The idea of building such a ride at Blackpool Pleasure Beach was almost inconceivable. Blackpool is a small park that evolved over 100 years, boxed in on all sides. Rides are built over, under and through each other, with every possible piece of land being used. Designing the new roller coaster would be a challenge in itself. Luckily, the Arrow Hypercoaster structures were constructed in such a way not to need lateral supports, lending themselves to a narrow plot. The lift hill would be squeezed into a narrow corridor between other rides, and the coaster would thread itself into gaps between seafront buildings and other attractions. Even the station would be carefully considered. Needing a small footprint, it would transfer trains vertically to store them below the load platform. By 1993, work was progressing. Drayton Manor had already installed the footers for its new ride during the winter construction of Rapid Splash Canyon. Over at Alton Towers, a large pit was being excavated close to Thunder Looper. While in Blackpool, the park was busy planning its biggest construction project to date. Renting ground at Blackpool Airport to store and pre-assemble some of the massive structure. As construction progressed, Alton Towers would remain secretive about their new addition, whereas the other two theme parks were proudly shouting about what was to come. In fact, there was no hiding Blackpool's new addition. Sections of the promenade were closed to aid construction, and slowly the steel lattice of the new roller coaster would reach skyward. Starting with the enormous lift hill, the now familiar shape emerged. The construction of Pleasure Beach's new attraction constantly hit the news, with the sheer scale of the new roller coaster being explored from every possible angle. The two Staffordshire parks would construct their new rides away from the eyes of the media, but each hoped their new coaster would be a smash hit with the public. The 1994 season arrived, with all three parks ready to launch their new roller coasters. Drayton Manor used a similar model in Sweden to film their television advert. Blackpool was shouting about the height of their new record-breaking ride, while Alton Towers had secured numerous television spots for John Wardley to show off his new creation. On 16th of March 1994, the first of the 3 new attractions would soft open at Alton Towers. Nemesis was proudly advertised as the world's most intense ride experience, and was an attraction like no other in the country. Entering the new Forbidden Valley, visitors would see a massive pit, where there had once been a grassy slope. In the centre of the excavation was a giant alien creature, surrounded by a mass of grey track. Rivers of blood flowed over stone walls, and roller coaster trains sped through the area, riders' feet passing within inches of the rockwork. Public reaction was overwhelming. The marketing had worked, and queues to ride stretched for hours. The impact of Nemesis was unprecedented, with 1994 achieving the highest ever attendance at Alton Towers, a figure still unmatched to this day. 10 days later, on March 26th, Drayton Manor would open 7-Up Shockwave. The opening featured cast from television's Gladiators, as well as a page 3 feature in the Sun newspaper. Spectacularly located above Splash Canyon Rapids, Shockwave's Aqua Track was visible from all over the park. Climbing the stairs to the station, visitors would board the novel stand-up trains for a 1.5-minute ride that featured 4 inversions. The only stand-up roller coaster in the country ensured that this smaller regional park achieved national recognition, drawing attention to a theme park that was relatively unknown. The last of the trio of new rides to open was Blackpool Pleasure Beach's Pepsi Max Big One. Opening on the 28th of May, the roller coaster took the record for the tallest and steepest in the world. The Big One's mile of track proudly lined the seafront, the red rails strikingly sitting atop dark blue supports. The promenade was closed and a concert took place to celebrate the opening of the park's newest attraction. Starting in the revolutionary station, trains would slowly advance up the lift hill before reaching a sign proudly announcing the height as 235 feet. For a few brief seconds, riders could appreciate a view of the Irish Sea and the Blackpool Tower in the distance, before plunging downwards and navigating a ride around almost the whole park. The Big One soon became recognisable nationwide, featured on numerous television programmes, and even gaining positive architectural reviews. The impact of Nemesis, Shockwave and the Big One was immediate, with the construction of these 3 rides being instrumental in the future of their respective parks. Nemesis catapulted Alton Towers to international recognition within the industry. The restrictive planning constraints only helped to set the ride apart from similar installations. The success of Nemesis and its themed environments pushed the park to install more innovative attractions. Roller coasters Oblivion and Air utilised brand new ride types, paving the way for numerous record-breaking or world-first elements in the future. With the Blackpool skyline forever changed, the Big One became an icon for the pleasure beach. Constantly featured on television segments, advertisements and numerous print articles, the ride has entered the public consciousness. Despite losing its height record, it has become a rite of passage for millions of British holidaymakers. Shockwave is possibly the least recognised of the 1994 editions. When asked if he would change anything about the ride, Colin Bryan stated, "We should have had a Nemesis-style coaster and not stand-up." Stand-up coasters have become increasingly rare in recent years, with the ride type never really catching on. However, the attention that Shockwave brought to Drayton Manor allowed for continued growth. Over 30 years since construction, the legacy of these 3 roller coasters is still felt. Signifying the importance within their respective park, the future of each ride has been secured. Blackpool Pleasure Beach has gradually restored sections of the Big One's track during winter maintenance. Alton Towers took the decision to undertake a full track replacement for Nemesis, while Drayton Manor has operated Shockwave with stand-up trains for the last time, reopening with a new name as a sit-down coaster. A major part of UK theme park history, the class of 1994 will continue to thrill riders for years to come.